is here's what we've got. We have, over 8-week course, 8 90-minute classes, our intervention decreases anxiety, depression, no surprise. But what we did is we also measured on things that I had remembered as being a problem for me when I had mental health issues when I was younger, which is anxiety, rumination, and mind wandering. So we measured them on this. And what you'll find if you sort of dig into the literature a little bit, there's different types of mind wandering, there's different types of rumination. There's a sort of adaptive rumination, which is called reflective, and there's a maladaptive version called brooding. And the same is true for mind wandering. There's a spontaneous and deliberate, we call them, sort of adaptive, maladaptive types of mind wandering. And what we have found is that through the meditation practices we were doing, that the maladaptive factors drop away quite quickly. Right? Which presumably is driving a lot of that decrease in the symptoms that we saw. What is really interesting, and this is sort of the crux of what we were looking for, is that this what we call task-unrelated thought doesn't change. So over an 8-week intervention, people start with a level of task-unrelated thought, mental chatter if you like, to make it simple. And it's the same at the end, basically. It hasn't significantly changed. What has changed What's changed is the correlations. So that's to say the relationship at time 1 begins with task-unrelated thought significantly attached, if you like, to the maladaptive processes, to spontaneous mind wandering, to brooding rumination. They drop away, and what happens is the task-unrelated thought switches its allegiance and becomes correlated or related to the more adaptive types. And this we're positing as being one of the real mechanisms behind. So we've got this sort of symptomology, and mindfulness interventions seem to decrease it, which is great. And I'm thinking, well, there might be other things. How about rumination, mind wandering, and so on? Yeah, that seems to play a role too, actually, important roles. Okay. It still doesn't answer the question why, right? Why does mindfulness do this? And so this is why we look back into 2,500 years of peer-reviewed literature from the Buddhist tradition and say it's this. It's basically what we call de-reification. It's the treating all your own mental activity as fact, right? It's treating all the thoughts, ideas, memories as being real, as being actually out there and as an accurate reflection of reality. This is where it comes from. And what you'll find is as you increase de-reification anyway, as this mechanism changes, people switch from the maladaptive type of mind wandering to the adaptive and so on. And then that drives these other changes. So what we have here and what I've been trying to do in the last few years of this research, and which is ongoing because we have the next stage coming up, is exactly this, is try to get these thousands of years old ideas about how the mind works, how suffering works, how happiness works, and why mindfulness should make a difference. Wrap it all up into scientific technology, into scientific terminology that we can publish and get out there in the public domain. And in that way, we're not trying to make Buddhists out of people. We're trying to sort of mine this contemplative sort of resource and bring as much stuff out of it as we can to make it absolutely relevant for people in the outside world for whom just 15 minutes a day will make a difference. I mean, more is better, but 15 minutes a day will bring about these types of changes. So my sort of finish by saying to you is the classic ending that is the classic. Whenever in the time of the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, when he was out on the town or his disciples were cruising around the village, and people sort of said, "Hey," they'd come up to him and say, "Hey, you look like you've got your act together. What are you up to? What's going on?" Right? And so, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. They probably spoke a little differently, but that's the sort of way they say, "Oh, what's up with you?" And there was one answer they always gave, right? And in Pali, it's called ehipash, and it just means come and see. They're like, just come and see. Make your own mind up, but come and see. And make sure that it's based in some sort of logic, make sure it makes sense to you. So that would be my invitation to you in terms of the Cultivating Emotional Balance project in relation to any contemplative tradition you may be interested in, is with an open mind, with a skeptical mind, critical mind. Come and see. Thanks, Dad.